one
different things
final
we can do, and we're doing them.
Yeah, and I'm sincerely concerned about this. Is it the policy of the Department of Defense that we need to be prepared to take Greenland and Panama by force if necessary? Is this a policy that you have within the Department of Defense in accordance with the President's wishes?
I heard what you said about those two countries and saying we need to worry about China. Well, we are worried about China.
That wasn't my concern.
China's malign influence in Panama.
I was concerned with us saying that using military force to take another sovereign country's territory.
We should pay attention to that.
Right.
So Panama is very key terrain that we've focused on, and we've been willing to focus on, as is Greenland.
We should take it by military force. They're important. I'm not going to argue with that.
The Arctic is
I'm
incredibly
arguing with
important.
using our military to take it by force.
Our job at the DoD is to have plans.
Do you have a plan for that?
This moment caught everyone off guard, because Adam Smith didn't step into this hearing to talk theory or budgets. He walked in to ask the Secretary of Defense a question no one expected to hear out loud. Does the Pentagon have a plan to invade Greenland or Panama? And the way Pete Hegseth tries to answer and avoid answering tells you exactly why this exchange matters.
Recognize the ranking member.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just on the budget point, I made this point before the committee before. The House just passed a budget that adds nearly $3 trillion to an already out-of-control debt. So if we do really want to spend money on defense or anywhere else, we got to be willing to pay for it. And I this, certainly go back through generations of, bipartisan problems with this. You can't have a debt that size and keep coming back talking about how much money you're going to spend, whether it's defense or whatever your priorities are. And Mr. Secretary, you said the 99% down on border crossings and the border is secure. At the same time, we're going to take $1 billion out of the MILCON budget, out of building barracks, to send it for the border. And there's another 4,000 troops that we're planning on sending down to the border. Given that the border is secure, might you rethink that spending?
Well, sir, we are securing it. It is secure, but it's a manpower-intensive effort at the beginning.
Two different words there. It's either secure or secure, and it sounded to me like you said it was secure.
It is secure.
Okay.
What we're continuing to do is expand that and fortify it through infrastructure, which is a big part of the budget on the Department of Homeland Security side as well. So it's that $1 billion you're talking about was from the CR in FY25. We fully fund that back and more in FY26 with a recognition that we were dealing with the world as it existed when we came in. And the previous administration said they needed new legislation to secure the border. It turns out you just needed a new president.
I would point out
president with the Defense Department and DHS that was willing to go to the border and actually secure it, which is what
not submitted a budget yet. So whether or not you're putting that money back in remains to be seen. You have definitely taken it out. And I think the obsession there, and I don't disagree, the border needed to be secure. But from a pure budget standpoint, let's just not keep the political focus on that. Let's make sure that we're funding some of the other priorities that we have. So when it comes back to acquisition reform, and the chairman's point, it's our committee, certainly Congress is part of the problem. We set up a lot of requirements. Defense contractors are part of the problem. I'm curious, how would you get after reforming the culture at the Pentagon so that you can move faster, number one, and number two, how would you get after the defense contractors that push the requirements process? And specifically, what would you do about the requirements process to try to speed things up?
Well, first of all, I think gold plating is a real problem. Sir, I mean, across the department.
Interesting to use the word gold in this particular context, but yes, I agree with you, actually.
We maybe could use a little bit more silver plating on occasion. A recognition that the 99% solution is oftentimes the enemy of the 85% solution that delivers 2 years sooner. And that's contractors and other companies wanting to do right, but trying to do too much and overpromise, and then they're under-delivering, and the warfighters...
Not always wanting to do right. In some cases, just
not always.
Just wanting to make money, but yes.
The change is also in acquisitions about people. You need reformers in these positions. I'm here to be a disruptor of those processes. Our deputy secretary has extensive business experience. The types of people we're bringing in as undersecretaries have been disruptors and innovators in the private sector who recognize that bureaucracy can be dysfunctional and needs to be disrupted. So it's taking outside-the-box unique approaches. I mean, virtual design is a big example. How many times are we going to build something physically that takes a year to build when you could use AI and computing power, design it virtually, identify the flaws and move more quickly, or create open architecture so you can.
Our committee stands ready to work with you.
I mean, there's 500 different things we can do, and we're doing them.
Yeah, and I'm sincerely concerned about this. Is it the policy of the Department of Defense that we need to be prepared to take Greenland and Panama by force if necessary? Is this a policy that you have within the Department of Defense in accordance with the President's wishes?
I heard what you said about those two countries and saying we need to worry about China. Well, we are worried about China.
That wasn't my concern.
China's malign influence in Panama.
I was concerned with us
China has control of
using military force
to
take another sovereign country's territory.
We should pay attention to that.
Right.
So Panama is very key terrain that we've focused on, and we've been willing to focus on, as is Greenland.
We should take it by military force. They're important. I'm not going to argue with that.
The Arctic is
I'm
incredibly
arguing with
important.
using our military to take it by force.
Our job at the DoD is to have plans.
Do you have a plan for that?
Our job at the Defense Department is to have plans for any particular contingency.
Including the contingency of basically invading
Any contingency
Denmark.
you need, we've got it. We've got a building full of planners, and we're prepared to give recommendations whenever needed.
So just be clear, you have plans to take Panama and Greenland by force if necessary.
I think the American people would want the Pentagon to have plans for any particular contingency.
Not for that.
Thankfully, we are in the planning business.
Speaking on behalf of the American people, I don't think the American people voted for President Trump because they were hoping we would invade Greenland. I'm going to go out on a limb on that one. I yield back.
What you're watching is a rare moment when the mask slips off the national security machine and you get a glimpse of how America actually plans for war. Adam Smith starts with a calm, measured tone, almost casual, but he's laying track. First, he goes through spending, then deficits, then the contradictions in the administration's border narrative. Every sentence is deliberate. He's building credibility so that when he pivots to the pressure point, the Pentagon's plans for foreign soil, he has already set the stage. Pete Hegseth, for his part, tries to project control. He defends the border numbers, he folds budget choices into political talking points, he emphasizes the administration's disruptor mindset. But before he realizes it, he walks right into Smith's trap, a trap about the very nature of Pentagon planning. Because here's what Smith understands. The American public hears the word plan and thinks intention. The Pentagon hears the word plan and thinks contingency. And those two meanings collide right here. Smith asks him directly, is it the policy of the Department of Defense that the U.S. needs to be ready to take Greenland or Panama by force? This is where the energy of the hearing shifts. You can see it in the Secretary's posture. He doesn't want to say yes, because saying yes sounds like aggression, imperialism, and escalation. But he can't say no, because the Pentagon absolutely maintains contingency plans for every geographic point of strategic interest. This is the contradiction Adam Smith is trying to expose, not because he believes the U.S. is about to invade Greenland, but because he wants the American people to understand how far Pentagon planners go in preparing for conflict. And Hegseth's answer proves the point. He reverts to the oldest, safest defense language. Our job is to have plans for anything. We have planners. We have contingencies. We prepare for all scenarios. It's the kind of answer that sounds responsible on paper, but lands differently when spoken out loud on camera, because it confirms exactly what Smith was pressing for. Yes, the Pentagon has considered scenarios so extreme that an average American might find them surreal. Smith pushes again, trying to force a plain English admission. So just to be clear, you have plans to take Panama and Greenland by force if necessary? Hegseth dodges again, this time leaning into generalities. The American people want us to have plans for anything. We're prepared for all contingencies. This is where the brilliance of Adam Smith's approach becomes clear. He isn't trying to catch Hegseth in a lie. He's trying to make the public confront the uncomfortable truth that military planning and political intention are not the same thing. A plan in the Pentagon's fault isn't a policy, but it exists. And once he gets Hegseth to effectively admit that, he lands the punchline. The American people didn't vote for a president because they hoped we would invade Greenland. It's both a joke and a warning, a reminder that military logic operates on a different axis than democratic will. The Pentagon has to be prepared for scenarios that will never happen, that should never happen, that no American would support. And yet, those plans exist because that is the nature of a superpower, the burden of imagining every possible disaster, every possible conflict, even the ones that sound absurd. That's why this hearing matters. It exposes the tension between transparency and secrecy, between preparation and paranoia, between what a government must plan for and what a government should never pursue. And Adam Smith forced the secretary to say the quiet part out loud. If there is a map, there is a plan. If there is a plan, someone has imagined the war, even if no one ever intends to fight it. That is the truth beneath this exchange. And that's why this moment is going viral. What you just watched wasn't a joke, and it wasn't political theater. It was a reminder that the Pentagon plans for everything, even the unthinkable, and that oversight matters because preparation without accountability becomes a blank check for power. So I want to hear from you. Do you think Adam Smith was exposing a real issue, or was he drawing out how surreal the planning process can be? Should the public know more about what the Pentagon prepares for, or does that create risks of its own? Drop your thoughts below. And if you want more breakdowns that go deeper than the clip and explain what's really at stake, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. We're just getting started.